Hello everyone, this is Thompson, once again back with some more tanking action. Today we are on the test server, and today what we are going to be doing is focusing on the FV215b 183. This is the end line for the British TD line, or end tank, I mean. There it is right there. So it goes all the way like this, and then the tier 10 is the FV215b 183. Very similar to the FV215b, just the turret turns slightly, well, much less. It turns basically like the GW Panther's turret. So it doesn't turn as wide, well, it doesn't turn very widely. I don't know the exact specifications on it, but the main thing of this tank is that it gets the 183mm AT gun. Obviously is a 183 caliber gun. Average penetration 310, 275, 92, with armor piercing, high explosive, and high explosive. The second high explosive is actually HESH, although there is some talk about whether or not it's actually HESH, or whether it is some made-up version of it. Average damage 1150 for the armor piercing, 1750 with the HESH, and 1750 with the high explosive. Accuracy 0.4 is not good for a tank destroyer. 3.4 aiming time is horrible. Let's see, let's go compare that to the closest gun that we have currently in the game, which is the Panzer E100's gun. So this one has better rate of fire at 2.33 instead of just 2. Average penetration slightly less, about, what, 2 for the armor piercing. It does have high explosive anti-tank, so it gets a very nice damage, no, I'm sorry, penetration boost up to 420. Instead of actually going down on the FV215b. For the high explosive, it is worse by about 7, I believe. Average damage down by 100 for the armor piercing, down by 700 for the high explosive anti-tank. But that's to be expected since you are comparing HESH shells versus high explosive anti-tank shells, and 1400 for a high explosive, which is 350 less. Accuracy much better at 0.35, aiming time better by a bit at 2.7. So in terms of guns, if you're going by raw damage, the 183mm outperforms the Panzer E100's gun, but in terms of other stats, the Panzer E100's gun is better. Let's go ahead and take a look at the armor. 256 for the whole armor, but I was looking that up, and it seems that, if you just zoom in, it only looks like it's 256 right along the stretch right about here. Everything else is very weak. 76 for the sides and rear. For the turret, it's basically the same. Turret has a good amount of slants though, although still fairly flat. But the turret also has 51 turret armor for both the sides and rear, so that's a 25%, no, well, just 25 less penetration. No, I'm sorry, I keep on getting everything mixed up today. 25 less armor. traverse speed at 16. It doesn't really matter since, you know, it is a tank destroyer. You expect to have slow moving turrets. Engine power is 800, pushing 60.7 tons, which is at about 12.5, I believe, in terms of engine to weight ratio, which is decent. Not great, but decent. The equipment that I have currently for it is ventilation shafts, 3 large caliber tank gun rammer, and the enhanced gun lane drive. Now let's take a look at the ammunition and etc. So we already went over this, but let's go ahead and take a look again. So only piercing deals a minimum of 863 damage and deals a maximum of 1438 damage. It can penetrate at minimum 233 and at maximum 388. So you have a wide margin for air. HESH 206 is a minimum for penetration, 344 is the maximum for penetration. But look at this damage, 1313, so 1313 is the minimum damage if it penetrates. 2188 damage as the maximum. Okay, so that's a ton of damage right there. That can one-shot an IS-7 if it hits it in the correct place, and if it gets a good enough damage roll to it. You also notice this little thing right here called explosion range. If you have never dealt with HESH ammo, at least on this guy, I do not know if it's with any other British HESH ammunition, but if it fails to penetrate the armor, it just explodes like a normal high explosive shell. Unlike the heat rounds which just bounce, these guys actually deal damage if they do not penetrate. So that is a huge upside to them. High explosive 69, minimum 115, maximum for the penetration. Same damage as the HESH, and same explosion range. I wouldn't really see many people using this when you have these two to go with. Ammo, very expensive. 2250 for armor piercing, 5600 for HESH if you decide not to go with gold. If you do go with gold, it is 14 gold per shell, and 1900 for high explosive. So, an expensive thing to fire, but when you're dealing 1750 per shot, well, maybe 1150 if you decide not to use the HESH shells. You know, that's not really all that much of a cost actually. But let's go ahead and take this guy out. We're going to play 2 games with it, one with strictly HESH ammunition and one with strictly armor piercing ammunition. Let's go ahead and take it out. Looks like we shouldn't have to wait too long, as there are now 25 players playing tier 10s. There we go. We're in a battle. Problem with the test server is you see a ton of tier 8 artillery pieces because everybody wants to try them out, especially the Backshot 155. It just has something to do with everybody wants to try out the auto loader. For some reason we have a very, very long waiting time for the battle to start, so I will stop recording right now and pick up when the battle begins. Alright, we are back. Apparently it wasn't a full 1 minute waiting time. For some reason the game began at 25 seconds. So, I don't know what that's all about, maybe it's just a bug. I usually tend to go this way. I don't like the magic forest over there. As you can see, I do have the HESH loaded for this first time. And he's down. So, that means that we will be trying out armor piercing next time. Heck, let's go ahead and talk about it. So, as I was saying, if you don't penetrate the armor, it explodes on contact. So it's basically like your average heat round. If it does penetrate, and if it doesn't, then it's your average high explosive round. And the other interesting thing about this is that if it penetrates, or hits, the track of a tank, then it will not penetrate fully. At least that is what I heard, and what I've experienced also. Let's go ahead and see if we can't shoot this T-52. The other thing about this gun is that the shells travel extremely slowly, so you do have to aim way ahead in order to hit lights. And you see this reload right here. Oh boy. And there's Backshot 155. And there he is again. Whoa, this is going to be fun. Alright. Let's get those tracks back up. It reverses decently. As you can see, not the greatest, but decent. Let's go after this IS-7 and see if we can't knock him out in one shot. Can we? Yes! And that is the power of the HESH rounds. 911 damage. But of course we could have done that with regular armor piercing rounds as well. So that doesn't really matter as much. Let me show you, let me see if I can show you the aiming time on this gun. Which is, aiming time is horrible. Yeah, there you go. See how horrible it is? And fire. That might have been a miss, I don't really know. Back it up. And you can see the fairly wide short arc on this guy. I believe that there's a real version of this, and the real version cannot fire at 90 degrees towards this hole, because otherwise it would tip over when it fired. I don't know if that is accurate, but that is what I heard. So let's go ahead and move over here. Oh, hello. Can we knock him out? Nope. And that's what I was talking about with the high explosive. If it doesn't penetrate, or HESH, if it doesn't penetrate fully, then it just deals regular high explosive damage, which is an interesting characteristic. Interesting in that heat rounds also are basically high explosive rounds, but they don't explode on contact. So, if I don't know a whole ton of basic shell mechanics for heat rounds, though, so don't count me as an expert on that. But let's go and see how we did. And so we fired 4 shots, 4 penetrations, 2200 damage, almost 2300. 1500 upon detection. This is something that I did not mention in my first video on the test server, which is that they added in a new stat: potential damage received. So 2100. So you subtract that from your hit points if you were destroyed, and then that would be the amount of damage that you bounced. So it's an interesting new stat. Let's see how we did. 917, 4 critical hits to the IS-7. Wow. Whoa, look at this T-52. We did 7 critical hits. I'd hate to be him, but of course we killed him in one shot, so that's alright. Let's go ahead and go into service, take out or the HESH, and put in full armor piercing. Oh, excuse me. I've not played with armor piercing, well, maybe once or twice, but not all that much. So do not count me as an expert on that either. And these are the type of games that you get on the test server, where you find a lot of tier 10s and a lot of tier 8 artillery. So if you're not a fan of either, do not play. That's all I can say. Huh. Just done it again. But I believe that will start at 25 seconds. So right about now would be 15 seconds in. So let's see if my theory is correct. And if it is, then I saved you guys from a long waiting time. If it isn't, then I'll see you in a little bit. And it is. So I don't know what's up with that. Must be a bug or something, as I mentioned earlier. That's really odd. Oh well. I'll get onto the forums later on and see if anyone else is having that problem. But that doesn't matter to you guys, so let's go ahead and continue this video. It is pretty fast actually for a tier 10 mounted on a heavy tank. It slows down on hills, but you can hit up to 34 to 35 on flat ground, so it is propelled fairly quickly. Yeah, there we are. If you can see right down here, you're hitting about 34 through 36 right about now. So let's go ahead and move up this way. I have no idea how this will turn out, since probably the majority of people are using premium ammunition, since it's the test server, so it may get one-shotted. I don't know. I've seen it happen before, so it's an unfortunate part of playing on the test server. Just let it aim in. And oh, we did hit him. So 1193 right there. Very nice. We're getting hit from the front, I believe. Yeah. So who could be hitting me? M48, T110, AMX50Bs. Any of those guys can deal about 400 damage. What about you? Nope, a miss. If you play the KV1S, think of this tank as that, where if you want the full effectiveness of this gun, you really have to aim in first. And there we go, my turret is damaged. That's actually, well, back to what I was saying, that's actually the first time that I've had that happen with the turret traverse on this tank actually. So that's actually pretty nice. How about if I stop recording right now, and then we can come back and play one more game with this tank. I will see you all in a little bit. Alright guys, that battle just finished up. Let's see how we did. Only put that one shot on that T62A, and everything else was pretty bad. Let's go and try that again. Let's do one last battle with HESH rounds. The HESH is what truly makes this tank insanely overpowered, I would say. Or other people would probably say. I don't think it's all that overpowered. I think the long reloads, the long aim times, weaker armor, all of that stuff generally makes up for having a, or somewhat of a turret, and this huge gun that it gets. I'm not one of those to say that having a huge amount of alpha is going to be overpowering, shall we say. there's going to be quite a bit of advantage. I will not deny that. But, you know, you really do have to look at the other stats of this tank before you say that because of PAX HESH rounds it must be overpowered. I have seen this tank one-shot tier 10s, okay? I have seen that. So, in that one case, it probably is overpowered, but Artillery also one-shots tier 10s at times. I've one-shotted many a tier 10 with my GW Tiger and GW Type E. So, does that make Artillery overpowered? Perhaps. Perhaps. But, you know, it's offset with having 30-second reloads and 8-second aiming times in order to get that one perfect shot that you missed twice in order to get. So, that's my general idea with this tank. Is it's very hit or miss. Either you deal a massive amount of damage in a game, you know, by one-shotting back shots, or you deal 1000, don't pull your own weight, and absolutely suck like that last game. If you can't already tell, I am not a very large fan of the high alpha guns. I prefer damage per minute guns. So if I'm completely screwing this whole thing up and you guys are yelling at your computers telling me what to do, then I am very sorry. I play American tanks which don't have high alpha, so all I can say is I'm sorry. I don't play high alpha tanks unless it's artillery, so very sorry if I'm angering any young children out there who have parents yelling at their computer screens. And there's a track hit, so 739 damage. And as I was saying, this tank is very hit or miss, because either you penetrate fully and deal an insane amount of damage for a tank, or as you just saw right there, you hit a track, deal 700 damage, and have to wait 30 seconds for a reload. I don't believe that's 30 seconds actually. I believe it's closer to 25, 24 around there, especially since I have Vince and a gun rammer on. But let's just say that it's 30 seconds just for the sake of argument right now. Alright, let's go ahead and move up here. Go and see if we can't hit anyone without getting hit us. Oh boy. He's fired. Tasty Finch. Do I take a hit?
Enemy is hit.
Oh, come on. Or, you deal 0 damage penetrations even with high explosive shells. So, I don't get that. Game mechanics, I guess. If you don't understand something, blame it on game mechanics. That's all I can say. And the other problem too with having a high alpha gun, and this is the reason why I don't play them, is that if... Oh, he's going for a bath. Well, he's going to kill himself before taking a bath. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic here. If you have an enemy with very low health, but you have a gun that reloads, that has an extremely long reloading speed, then you can't really take him out. Because if you don't take him out in that one shot prior to, this other shot that you're about to take, then you wait 30 seconds to take a guy out on 12 health, or 84 health, as that AMX just was. That, you waste such a shot on that guy when you really shouldn't. So, perhaps I'm playing high alpha tanks wrong, I don't know. I never really got into the Soviet type style with the huge guns, for the HE I mean, comparatively between the other tanks. I never got into that whole play style, which is the only, come on. I don't have a high amount of success with HESH rounds, actually. Usually. Anyways, with the Soviet tanks, the only Soviet tank I believe that I have in my garage currently is the Churchill 3, which isn't really a Soviet tank. It's a British Lend-Lease version that is a premium tank. So, but oh well, let's go ahead and wrap up this video. So, I hope you guys got a good idea of the strengths and weaknesses of the FV215b 183. This is the end of the line, as I showed you earlier in the video. This is the end of the line for the British tank destroyer tree. What are my thoughts on it? Well, I wouldn't call it overpowered. I certainly wouldn't call it underpowered. But I don't think that's so overpowered that it will break game balance. Now there are some times when it will break game balance. You know, but let's go ahead and take a look at something called the T92. Yeah, 2250 average damage. So that thing can, according to some quick calculations in my head, one-shot any tier 10 except for the mouse. But you don't really see that breaking game mechanics because that's more, it's balanced with high reloads, comparatively weak armor, low health points for the tank sizes, and etc. I think this tank is going to be like that. Maybe drop the health points just a little bit. And perhaps the mobility might need a nerf too. But I think that everything else, the only thing that I can see as a huge advantage over the competition for this tank is average damage, and that's only because of the HESH shells, and only of the HESH shells penetrate. If you just have armor-piercing shells, well then, you know, that's almost underpowered. When you have that poor of an accuracy, that poor of an aiming time, that poor of a rate of fire, and the alpha, excuse me there, the alpha is only 100 more than the Yardpanzer E100s, which has better aiming time, better accuracy, better rate of fire, and perhaps better armor. But, I don't know. Again, I don't play high alpha tanks very much. Never have, and I actually don't really enjoy them all that much. So, you guys can make up your own decision. Watch all the videos that are out there on this tank. If you want to grind for the tier 10 British tank destroyer, then watch every video out there on it. That's all I can say. Make sure that you have a good understanding of it before you purchase it, because there are going to be times when it's going to be underpowered, and there are going to be times when it's completely overpowered. And the thing, though, is going to be finding that balance. But I'm sure that they will be tweaking it over the next few patches, and I will let you all know how it comes out in test 2. That, let's see, how long? So this patch, test server, keep on getting those two mixed up. This test server has been out for about 4 days. Usually they leave it out for 7 days. We've got it around there. And then they'll bring out the second version, and if they need it, the third versions and fourth versions. But we will see what happens and what happens when it goes live. Ooh. Excuse me again. But until next time, this is Thompson on the test server and signing off. I will see you all next time. Bye.